Hey guys, what's up? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I wanted to make this video because I think that it's just so important. I get this question a lot, and I would like to address it. And I think that it would definitely help us to understand humility, and to help us to be very intentional with the seasons we're in, the levels we're in, and just maximizing every level we're at, right? So the question is, why do I work a 9 to 5 if I want to be an entrepreneur? If I want to be an entrepreneur, if that's my long-term goals, why do I work a 9 to 5, right? And I also go by getting called an entrepreneur because that's what I am. I do have my own brand. I do run my own, side endeavors. I make my own money on the side using social media platforms and all that stuff. And yeah, so people ask me why do you want a 9 to 5 if you want to be an entrepreneur? And I think it's a great question. I don't think it's a bad question per se. I think it's a really good question. Should I take off I'm thinking about if I should take off my, because I don't have meetings until, my next meeting is at 3. So I'm thinking about if I should take off my, yeah, I think I'm gonna take it off. All right, cool. Okay, so people ask me, again, I also have pajama pants because when you're working from home, they can't see your bottom. So, so I have pajama pants on. So sorry for the little Santa Claus hats. So if I want to be an entrepreneur, why am I working a 9 to 5, right? I think this is a great question. And I think that us who are aspiring entrepreneurs, we need to understand the importance and how beneficial it is to work a 9 to 5 right now, right? So it's completely up to you if you want to be an entrepreneur and you say that you don't want to do a 9 to 5. It's completely up to you. However, I do think that when we discuss entrepreneurship and we discuss the aspiration to be an entrepreneur, that it can literally get to our head that we literally are so fixated on the end result and we don't understand what is entailed, what can be beneficial in the process, and learning certain traits that can be translated and transferred when you are that entrepreneur. So, we have a lot of talk of, build your own business, build your own brand, build this, build that. That's great. But we also need to understand that it's not just the establishment. We need to worry about the sustainability, right? We need to understand, how can this sustain? If I build my brand, if I build my business, how will it sustain, right? How am I able to know that this will produce longevity? How am I able to know that I will be able to sustain this? Obviously by God's grace, but how do I know that what I have within myself will be eligible for this brand and this business to stand, right? So there's literally people who would say, oh yeah, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, I'm going to have my own enterprise, I'm gonna have my own business, and you never had a job. You never had a job. You never worked retail. You never worked at a grocery store. You never did Uber Eats. You never worked. You never volunteered. You think that volunteering experience is, this is so unprofessional. My lips were getting dry, sorry. You never had a volunteer experience, right? We want to be these great big entrepreneurs. We want to be these great, I'm gonna have my own business one day. I'm gonna do this, but you don't even have a resume. You don't even have a cover letter. You don't even go out to network with people. You literally want to do everything, but you don't even know how to do it. So you want to start stuff. So, okay, so what happens when you start it, but you don't finish it? Because you don't have that sustainability or nothing you can transfer over to be that successful entrepreneur. I don't despise 9 to 5s. I don't despise working, right? It's actually not the will of the Lord for me to work a 9 to 5 long. It's not. So this is why I definitely am going the entrepreneurial route. However, we need to understand the levels we're at. We need to understand the stages we're at. We need to understand that right now I am a cashier. Right now I am a bank teller. Right now I am an Uber driver. Right now I am a volunteer. Right now I do serve for the church. Don't despise that. Don't despise your youth. Don't despise your small beginnings. Don't despise it, because these things are literally beneficial. And we live in a generation where we just got to be fast. Like, you know, we don't value process, right? You want to be an entrepreneur, but you never led a project. You want to be an entrepreneur, you never led a project. You never worked with people before, but you want to be an entrepreneur. You want to be an entrepreneur, but you don't understand the importance of maintaining, you know, your work days and being healthy, and understanding the importance of completing things by a certain deadline. You don't have no concept of deadlines. You don't have no concept of leadership. You don't have no concept of serving. You don't have no concept of assisting. You want an assistant, but you never was an assistant. So you want to tell someone what they should do when you never did it yourself. This is why we have to be very careful with despising our beginnings. As young people, it's so great that we are definitely just, you know, just changing the narratives and wanting to start our own brands, our businesses, and our enterprises. I think that's awesome. However, I think that, you know, we always should start somewhere. Literally, right? I work with a huge company right now. I'm working with, you guys know who I work with. I work with Warner Media. I get to work on different projects with different great brands, right? NBA, Digital, CNN, TNT, TBS, right? Different shows, different podcasts. This is just great. And I'm meeting, you know, people I'm working with. I get to exchange ideas with them. I get to talk to them. I get to ask them, hey, well, how was your journey? How were you able to start off here and now you're an account executive? You know what I mean? Or how are you able to be that CEO? How are you able to be that executive vice president? You know, like, that's awesome, because as I understand who I am and the place I am right now, I'm not where they're at. But clearly, even though it's not the success I would probably want, I can ask them what they did in their journey to achieve success. Because no matter what, success is success, but true success is kingdom success. But I'm not going to preach on that. But clearly they had to go through a process. So we always need to understand that you don't just start off knowing. You don't come out the womb knowing how to be a human. You have to learn how to function, right? And I feel like we want to do things that we haven't even took time to extensively and elaboratively learn ourselves. So when it's time to start something, you don't know how to finish it because you don't have that sustainability. So the answer to why sorry, this is great. Pretty awesome. It's coffee, but it's not coffee with no sugar, and it keeps me energized. The reason why I work a 9 to 5 is because as a person that works a 9 to 5, I am a worker, right? I want to demonstrate what I want done when I hire somebody. I want to understand what it means to serve, what it means to please, and to go above and beyond expectations when it comes to my managers and my boss and other colleagues, right? I want to understand the functions of what it means to work with the team, what it means to lead projects, what it means to collaborate, you know, when it comes to projects. So I know when I speak to my future employees, hey, this is what I expect from you guys as a team because I function in that role. We want to tell everybody else what to do, and we don't have, you know, like, you know, true sustainability because we are teaching in areas we haven't been a student in already. It just doesn't make sense. So the reason why I work a 9 to 5, the reason why I, you know, on a hunt for internships and different opportunities and building my resume and networking is because I can literally translate all of that experience into me being a better entrepreneur, right? I'm understanding marketing. I'm understanding sales. I'm understanding the importance of collaboration, cohesiveness. All of these things will translate well over and transfer over when I'm an entrepreneur. So I want to encourage you, if you're a cashier right now, don't despise your youth. You don't know how God is using you as a cashier to cultivate you into a better entrepreneur. You interacting with people, it can help with your public speaking skills. It can help you, you know, you counting money literally can help you. It can aid you in your quantitative skills, right? You don't know how these things will literally translate over. But we have people that are arrogant and they'll be like, you're a cashier, you're still like working at McDonald's. Okay, but McDonald's is literally helping me to be a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone for me to perform better as a future entrepreneur. Because in McDonald's, it's hot. I'm probably going to be working with people that are, are maybe just, I won't agree with. It's a fast food, fast pace. You don't even understand, because you're so ignorant, because people are so ignorant. They don't understand that McDonald's can literally be a training ground for who God called them to be as an entrepreneur. It gives you that place of humility. It gives you that place where it's a fast-paced environment. So now that you've conquered and optimized and maximized your experience at a smaller scale, you can understand when you are thrown into certain projects, or when you're an entrepreneur and things get hectic, you're like, okay, I'm good. Because when I worked at McDonald's, during COVID-19, when people, wanted to eat out more and just felt more lazy or didn't feel like cooking, so they would go to fast foods, and it was such a long line. I understood the importance of customer service. I understood the importance of communication. I understood how great, I was cultivated in my balance. I was cultivated in my adaptability. And that's why we tend to fail as entrepreneurs, as young entrepreneurs, because we don't understand adaptability and we don't understand flexibility. We want the ability as an entrepreneur, but we don't want to learn the abilities: responsibility, adaptability, flexibility, because these other experiences will produce these results if you humble yourself and say, I need to learn, and just be quiet. Don't despise your youth. You don't just start off excellent. You got to work your way up to these things. And that's why I work at a 9-to-5, and I get excited because, the Lord wants us to be great stewards, right? If the Lord can see me steward over an internship for like a month and a half, he'll trust me with more. You get what I'm saying? The Bible says in Colossians 3 verse 23 that, and this is the thing, we want to build enterprises and businesses for us, and we don't understand that Colossians 3 verse 23 was a mandate. Every work you do should be unto the Lord. But we don't want to understand the process of serving. When you have a servant heart, when you are working in environments, it will literally force you to serve with your whole heart, and to understand that your work is not to you, because it's not going to benefit you. It's not going to appeal to your ego. So you should always have that reflex. I'm doing this unto God. It's not for my brand. It's not for me. I'm doing it unto God. If we are going to be kingdom entrepreneurs, we need to understand our work is unto God. It's not for us. It is unto God. Comprende? I had something else to say, but I literally forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, like, we just need to understand the importance of just humbling ourselves and just really, really, really just taking time to just process our process. Like, yes, we need to process our process. So yeah, definitely still have time for yourself and your goals, and be intentional on building your brand. Be led by the Spirit, of course, but also don't despise your youth, right? That's what I wanted to say. The Lord definitely told Joseph, that Joseph would be the ruler of Egypt, right? But I think he didn't become ruler of Egypt, I think, until like 13 years later or more, right? But it was in that place of where Joseph was in the prison, where literally Joseph understood patience. Joseph understood what it means to forgive. Joseph understood mercy, right? I believe that Joseph would not have been merciful to his brothers if Joseph was not in prison, because it was through Joseph getting accused for rape. It was through Joseph, being in prison, and also still having God's favor at that level, is what helped him to understand his process. That yes, one day I'll be ruler, but I'm in a prison right now. But at least in this prison, I'm learning certain abilities and traits that will help me be prosperous as a ruler of Egypt, right? I don't think Joseph would understand patience if he wasn't in prison. And that's the thing. Joseph wasn't just looking at the prison, because he was so focused on him processing. He was so focused on helping other people interpret their dreams and teaching about the Lord and just optimizing and maximizing his experience. So then when he became ruler, it was like, okay, well, I'm great. I'm straight because I went through my training ground. And that's the thing. We look at our training grounds as prisons. We look at 9 to 5s as prisons. What if God wanted you to be the 9 to 5 for 2, 3 years, 5 years before you became a successful entrepreneur? But we look at these things as if it's prisons. But it's in that very atmosphere that God is trying to say, I'm trying to grow patience out of you. I'm trying to grow mercy out of you. I'm trying to grow compassion out of you. I want you to know what it means to work with people, because I can't just have you in a place and you don't know how to function. So that's the reason why I work 9 to 5. I don't despise it. Whenever the Lord releases me to just launch me into entrepreneurship, well, I'm already in entrepreneurship, but for me to function primarily and only as in entrepreneurship, then I'll be straight, because I already learned, and by God's grace, I will be achieved. I will be accomplished by His grace. And that's the thing. We think that we can just start enterprises ourselves. No. You got to go through some testing and hard trials to realize it was by God's grace that I was able to make it out. And I was able to function and be this entrepreneur that I am right now. Stop trying to look up to these worldly entrepreneurs and these people that, you know, are rich off social media and off their own strengths. At the end of the day, that is fleeting. But what's built on a foundation, what's built on God's way, will sustain. And you have to understand what it means to undergo a process. So I hope this encouraged you. DM me if you are an entrepreneur. DM me if what's your goals, what's your brand, and what are you learning in your 9 to 5 experiences. Make sure you subscribe, like. I will definitely reply to all my comments. You can DM me, ask me any questions. And yeah, I hope this gave you guys some perspective.